My name is Kyle Hardwick, and I am a chiropractor.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what originally inspired you to start working together? Or in other words, what was life like before you started the coaching and what inspired you to get into it?
Yes, I started a business a few years ago and basically just got a little bit overwhelmed with everything. And I was experiencing signs of fatigue and burnout. And I was just struggling with anxiousness and just worry. And I'd have days where I just didn't feel like doing anything, and even just the smallest task felt like a lot. And so there was a point where my wife was essentially recognized a lot of things in me and a lot of differences in just my energy levels, and she was like, all right, you need someone to talk to, you need some help here, because whatever you're doing isn't working. And I was doing a lot of things on my own. I was doing, like, I got pretty deep into like shadow work and meditation, and I was trying to do the things on my own, just watching YouTube videos and learning about different type of psychological tricks and things. But they were working, but it was temporary. It wasn't lasting results. And so finally, yeah, my wife was just like, you gotta go do something about this. You need to see somebody, you need to see a professional. And then she met you, and she turned me on to you, and we had a conversation, and yeah, I think you made it really easy. And we started off small, and then you gave me some techniques that actually did work, and so we decided to do the big thing, and I'm very happy that I did.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, it was. I remember when you and I first met, you were sharing about how you'd have like 3 weeks where you were like on, and then 1 week where it just like everything shut down. And I know that was quite a problem because it was killing your momentum and your consistency, but also like you weren't feeling the best when that type of thing happened. So I am glad that your wife introduced us because I think it was perfectly timed in terms of your journey and all. So my next question is, what were some of the biggest wins or insights from the coaching experience for you?
I think just so I guess the very first big win was during the values assessment, recognizing that where I was placing my values or where I was placing my energy were in areas that I thought my values were, and I thought where my values should be, but they weren't actually, that wasn't really what was going on. They weren't reflective of my actual values. And so the first big win was you helping me recognize where my actual values are, not where I thought they should be. And so once I started to place my energy and my efforts into things that got me closer to where my values actually were, that helped a lot. And then the second big thing is just techniques to quickly dissipate feelings of anxiousness, worry, and anxiety. Not to run away from it, but to actually feel it,
Mhm.
and feel it down to a zero, as you like to say, and just small techniques that help me on a day-to-day basis. Those are huge wins, huge ones. So
Amazing. Now, tell me about your experience with the liberation session, because I know that was a bit of a mystery going in. Like,
sure.
what is this?
And you know what? It's still a mystery now. Even so, the funny thing about the liberation session is, yeah, it's a mystery. You don't really know what's about to happen, and I think the biggest thing is just to keep an open mind, because some of the techniques that you use seem out there. And there were a couple of times during the actual liberation session where I was like, there's no way that this works. But I was able to center myself and just actually do what you're telling me to do, and keep an open mind about it. And even though you think that there's like this, there's no actual reason, there's no logical reason to why this would work, it does. And so yeah, my experience was good. It was well worth it. It was well worth it. And yeah, I don't really want to give too much away here.
Feel free to give away as much as you want, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
I think the liberation session is different for everybody, the way that they describe it. So feel free to go
Sure,
into it.
sure. Yeah, I guess just keep an open mind. Just keep an
Yeah.
open mind to it, and make sure that you're not getting in your own way. and shutting it down, because I think that was almost a problem for me when I was going through it. But I was able to recenter and keep an open mind. So
Yeah,
yeah, I think it will work if you. It will work if you allow it to work. If you don't
that's a good
allow it,
way of putting it.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I remember you actually did really well despite having that skepticism. I think you finished it like an hour and a half early or something like that compared to the amount of time that we allotted, which was awesome. One of my favorite moments was actually the first call that we had after the liberation session. You're like, oh, I just got to tell you, like that was so weird.
Yeah,
You're like, it was so weird, but it worked.
yeah.
You feel better, so something worked.
100%. 100. And actually, the funny thing is too is I went home that night and had like this crazy wave of anxiousness, and I was just like, oh God, like we just did this whole like 8 hour thing, and here I am just having just right back into where I was. And then I sat down and I thought I got through the whole step by step process of what we just did. And then I felt a lot better. And then, yeah, I think I went from daily anxiety to probably not feeling anxious for like 2 or 3 weeks. And it crept its way back. So it's not like there's work that you have to do to continue. It's not like it's just gone like magically. I felt like it was for the first 3 weeks. It was just like, holy cow, I just don't feel any anxiousness at all. This is crazy. And then it kept its way back, but then you remember the techniques, and that's why we continue to have those video conversations and to make sure that you are keeping me on track, which was great. And now I have these easy techniques and easy ways to battle that. So yeah.
Awesome, man. I'm very curious. I remember one of the things that you brought up to me before we started together, and I'm curious if you'd be open to speaking about this. But one of your hesitations was like, am I gonna have to? You're like, trauma is a trending thing these days. Am I gonna like start having this whole story about myself and
That's
all
fun.
these things?
I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Well,
it's really great that you brought it up because I think other people also feel that, but they don't say it. And you actually said it, which was super helpful for both of us to be able to work through that. So that was the concern. What was the reality of the situation when it came to that particular concern?
yeah, not at all. Not at all. Because I've because I see a lot of people, like people actually treat me, even though I'm a chiropractor, a lot of times people treat me as their therapist as well. And so I've heard a lot of stories about people like, okay, I started therapy and now I'm worse off because we're uncovering all these things, all this trauma. I'm, and then these therapists will give their trauma a name, and now they've diagnosed them with something. And now that they think that they have this diagnosis, and it's just, I see it, they go into this like wicked spiral. And I definitely did not want that to happen to me, and it didn't. During the liberation session, we talk about trauma, but not specifically. You allowed me to experience traumatic events without actually talking about them, which is kind of weird to say. But yeah, and you allowed me to process them without actually identifying with it, I guess.
Yeah, so I love that you brought that up because one of the best ways to deal with trauma or negative experiences is actually not talking about them in detail. And the reason is because when we do that, we cut out a bunch of other details that actually would help us process or reconcile the experience. But because it's painful, people fixate on all the painful details and they don't see the learning. So what we do in the liberation session, what you experienced was being able to witness these traumatic experiences, but from a vantage point that was safe, where you didn't have to relive anything and you could actually see the bigger picture and get like garner the wisdom from these experiences to integrate into your everyday life.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's one of the reasons why we don't create new stories after liberation session.
right, right.
Carry them around like a badge of honor or something.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. People start identifying with them like too much, and it becomes a part of them, and then they talk about it, and then it becomes more powerful. And yeah, that's not at all what this experience was. Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. Did you have any favorite techniques or go-to things that we did or any processes that you're like, that really helped?
Feel it to a zero. I use that every day. And because it's so simple. And even if I just feel just the slightest bit of tension in my body or just anxiousness, like stop, I sit down, I feel it down to a zero. I meditate a little bit and it just disappears.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, that. And then one of the things that you taught me that I use pretty consistently is just talking to my unconscious mind and like having a conversation with myself, which like if there's some sort of, which is very similar to shadow work and what I was doing before, but a little bit less formal. I guess I can access it really quickly where it's just like, hey, I'm feeling this way or I'm having these types of thoughts or feelings. Ask my unconscious mind what's going on, have a conversation with myself, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, whatever it may be, and usually I can come up with the answer pretty quickly versus sitting down for a half an hour and doing this shadow work and having a conversation with myself and journaling about it and all of that, which is also very beneficial but requires time and effort, and it feels like a chore almost to get started. It's like one of those things where it's just like, hey, I'm adding more to my plate versus your techniques where it's just like doesn't feel that way at all. It doesn't
Amazing.
feel overwhelming. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. And one other question that I had was like, as a business owner, why do you think it's important to do this type of work? Like, how do you think it affects you as a business owner, as a leader, as a person that people are coming to? Like you said, like you're not their therapist, but they are certainly treating you like that. So they do hold you in high regard.
Sure.
So as a leader and a business owner, why is this work so important?
It's the classic example of when the plane's going down, you put your own oxygen mask on, but before putting it on your children or anybody else that needs help, right? You got to take care of yourself first and make sure that you have your cup is full so that then you can then give more to other people, give more of yourself, give more of your energy. And owning a business is tough, man. You got 1,000 things that you're paying attention to, and you wear a lot of hats, and you have to be a leader in your business for your employees and for your clients. And it's important that you show up with 100% of yourself every day. And if there's anything that is preventing you from doing that, then your business is going to suffer and your clients are going to suffer and you're going to suffer. So taking care of yourself and taking care of your emotional energy, protecting your emotional energy is extremely important because you're you're going to win. If you can be 100% of yourself and you can wake up every day and recognize that it's go time and feel good about it, then you'll win and you'll get better. And so the investment that you make here is going to pay off 100-fold in the long
Amazing.
run, for sure.
Awesome. And one last question. I think you started to answer it on that last one as well. But if somebody is watching this and they're on the fence, right? They're like, I don't really understand what this liberation session thing is, or like sounds like a lot of money, like it sounds like a big investment. Is there anything that you would share with them to help them make the decision if this is the right move for them?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was when I wanted. It's first of all, starting a new business, you don't have a lot of money and you have to protect where your finances go. You can't just be making crazy decisions all the time. I at the beginning I didn't have a whole lot of disposable income and so I wasn't sure about it, but I guess just start with step one is what I did. We sat down and did a values assessment and I made an initial investment of whatever it was. I don't want to talk about exact numbers, but yeah. So I started small, and we did the values assessment, and that opened my eyes to what it could be. Right. So it was very valuable. So just start with step one, and then see if that helps you. And if it does, then I would almost guarantee you that everything else will too. So yeah, just give it a try. What do you got to lose? Not much. Not much.
Awesome. Kyle, thank you so much for sharing your experience, man.
My
Super,
pleasure.
super helpful. Yeah, and working with you has been a blast. It's been really awesome seeing you grow and seeing you just allow yourself to be chill, even in the face of uncertainty and chaos, and just being able to be the master of your emotions. So,
Sir, and have fun too.
yes,
That was
that was our big thing. That was our North Star.
the very first values assessment was like, dude, you're not having any fun, bro. Like that's but yeah, I like to have fun actually.
That's great. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm having more fun. I'm less anxious. Life is good, man. Life is good. And you're a big part of that. So I appreciate you and I appreciate what you do. And I hope this helps you help a lot more people.
Thank you, Kyle.
Of course.